Yo, what's going on, guys? Mush back at it with another video, and this really does seem like it is crap all over Sony season. $700 console, and I'm not even as mad about that as a lot of other people, but remasters galore that nobody asked for. Horizon Zero Dawn getting a remaster. Why? That game just came out on PC 4 years ago and still looks very good. Days Gone reportedly getting a remaster. Nobody cares. At least I don't care. There are actually people that care. There's a hardcore Days Gone community, and more than anything, them releasing one of the worst and biggest failures of all time in Concord. And I had been crapping all over Concord leading up to its release. I had no idea how Sony even greenlit this game, and I thought the situation was bad, and it is far orders of magnitude worse than I had initially perceived it to be. This is one of the biggest disasters in gaming history, and Colin Moriarty has shed quite a lot of light on how big of a failure this game is. So let's run down all of the new information and really paints a picture as far as how out of touch Sony is, how bad it is that they have absolutely no competition and nobody that can check them right now, which is a big issue. Not to put blame on Microsoft, like Sony's just doing absolutely moronic things right now, but I had thought that Sony potentially had spent around $150, maybe $200 million into the development of Concord, and it looks like bare minimum that they sunk $200 million into this game. The actual development cost for Concord, leading back to its actual creation, $400 million. As far as a budget attached to a PlayStation game, across all PlayStation games that have ever been released, Concord, from a budget standpoint, is the biggest game of all time. $200 million were sunk into this game, around that, I would imagine, leading into its alpha, when it was in alpha back in Q1 of 2023, and when I guess it was shown to Sony, but Sony, deeming the game to be such at a bad point at that point, sunk another $200 million into the game, leading to this $400 million number that we got. The game, when it was initially shown, was said to be in such a laughable state, in such a horrible shape, that Sony felt like they had to spend more money. They had to sink another $200 million into the game to get it to a state of viability for it to actually be released. Up until Q1 of 2023, a lot of what was done was the fact that a big expense was outsourcing the game to other studios, and two incredibly important things that are related to any live service outing weren't worked on at all. That is onboarding and monetization of the game. If you're going to sink $200 million, $400 million, however many million dollars into a live service game, ultimately you need to get a return on the investment, and that is from the long-term monetization. That is the gravy train that Sony and so many other publishers, EA, Ubisoft, they are all chasing that gravy train. And even if a Concord is a failure, hopefully another game will be a gigantic success. But $400 million leading into its release were spent, and it is Sony's biggest loss ever, because even with $400 million spent on the game, they only grossed $1 million. And if that wasn't bad, after grossing $1 million, they gave it all back because they shut down the game and they refunded everyone. Now, this is Sony's biggest loss ever. It was Sony's biggest project ever from a financial standpoint. However, according to Colin, this is as far as the games that have already been released. So Spider-Man 2, Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us Part 2, we know that this game is orders of magnitude more expensive than those games. However, there are games in development that cost even more. Sony has another live service game that they're said to be a little bit more confident on, called Fair Game. That's supposed to be released in 2025. I question, why was Fair Game shown with a CG trailer back in 2023 with no other information outside of a garbage CG trailer? Maybe because the game was in a bad shape just like Concord was, and they weren't ready to show that game off at the same event? Why did both of those games just get CG trailers? They're brand new IPs coming from studios nobody knows a damn thing about. What was the point of those CG trailers? I would have to think that there's a significant cost attached to Fair Game as well. Is it $400 million? God, I absolutely hope not, because I don't think Fair Game is going to be a success. And guess what? I didn't think Concord was going to be a success based off a CG trailer. Fair Game, after seeing that CG trailer, I don't think that game's going to be a success either. And this is total speculation, Fair Game is $400 million. Concord was $400 million. Last of Us Factions, they canceled. They canned that project. That's a loss as well. That could be in the ballpark if Fair Game is $400 million. Again, total speculation. $1 billion in losses just to chase the live service gravy train. Let me reiterate that. $1 billion in losses. I don't know if fair game they actually sunk $400 million into it, but Colin did say there are games in development that are going to cost even more than $400 million. And you know, I'm sure some of the single-player outings are going to be north of $400 million. I mean, Naughty Dog is working on a new IP. Last of Us Part 3, if that is in the works, I'm sure is going to be expensive. I don't know if it's going to be $400 million, but why was Concord actually a game that came to fruition? If it was in such a bad state in early 2023 and $200 million was already sunk, why did Sony double down and sink another $200 million? Well, that's because behind the scenes at PlayStation, Concord was viewed as the future of PlayStation. It was referred to be as a Star Wars-like project where it would have this gigantic universe that they could constantly go back to, cross-media, weekly stories, and the infancy of this was already in place, you guys. Amazon's upcoming secret levels show that they're dropping, which expands existing game IPs. Concord, for whatever reason, has an episode in that. Why it has an episode, nobody knows, but obviously the reason being is because Sony imagined and thought of Concord as this game that was going to be this big IP and this franchise that existed beyond gaming, and this was just the starting point for it. All that says to me is Sony, Herman Hulst, who is the head of Sony Worldwide Studios, and this was considered to be his baby, and his project that he was a massive champion of, is completely out of touch. And how you can be completely out of touch with your audience to this extent, breeding a level of toxic positivity where you cannot say anything bad about the game, the character designs, it is absolutely appalling, and it is absolutely infuriating. As somebody that grew up with PlayStation and has had every single PlayStation console, and I know what they are capable of, and their first-party output, what they are capable of. I went through the PlayStation 3's dark days. I saw the comeback of the PS3, the PS4 era, where the first party, I feel like, really got this reception of being, like, absolutely elite in game development and game output. And what are they doing now? No new game releases, at most one game a year, remaster after remaster of games nobody wants, or at least the majority of people don't want. We're talking Days Gone getting a remaster. What are we actually doing? We have all of these games from, you know, the PlayStation 3 era. I'm happy that they're dropping their games on PC. It's a great avenue for a new audience to check their games out, but Concord ain't it. And sinking $400 million into this game over the time of its development. Think about what those resources could have been allocated to, and it's a straight loss. It's a wash. They aren't getting a single dollar out of this game, and it's a huge scar on PlayStation forever and ever. This game will be looked back to as one of, if not the biggest game failure of all time, and that's absolutely insane. The most insane thing about it, again, putting the $400 million aside, is how out of touch, how out of tune, how just unknowing they are of their own core audience to think that this pile of trash was worth sinking another $200 million into it. When I saw that burger trailer, I'd been crapping all over this game. Never in my wildest imagination did I think that the schmucks back there, and yes, I will deem them as schmucks, the high executives that thought that this is what their audience wants, absolute schmucks, absolutely do not understand, do not have their finger on the pulse of their PlayStation audience, which is insane to me, and I don't know what rabbit hole one of these executives got down, but it is absolutely insane that this came to fruition. It is one of the biggest black eyes on PlayStation ever, and certainly it's not as bad as like PSN being down for a month. At least I wouldn't say it's that bad. I mean, PSN getting shut down for a month was crazy, but man, like PlayStation as far as a publisher, they are cooked right now. They are absolutely cooked, and you know they can bounce back. They need to drop some first-party titles, man. The optics right now are so bad. Dropping the biggest failure in gaming history, quite possibly. Dropping a $700 console, which I understand why it exists, but the optics of dropping a $700 console when you're dropping no games and just had a gigantic colossal failure like Concord, optically it just looks so bad, and then doing all of these remasters, they are beyond fried, and it's insane to me. And now with Sony releasing their games on PC, mandatory account linking where their games aren't available in so many regions. I don't know how many players God of War Ragnarok is peaking at, but I know for a fact it is a fraction of how many people God of War 2018 peaked at. Let's go look at Ragnarok. Mixed reception, by the way, across the 2,000 reviews, 25,000 concurrent players. God of War 2018 was at like 60K. And this is a game that had a quicker turnaround than God of War 2018. Obviously a direct sequel, but still, that's just embarrassing. What kind of decision making are we doing here? But that'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. As always, thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Hey, what's going on, guys? Mush here again. Hope you enjoyed the video. As you guys might know, YouTube's notification system is sometimes a little bit wonky, even if you're subscribed to the channel. Maybe you're not abundantly aware that I uploaded a video. To remedy that situation, make sure you hit the bell notification button. This way, whenever I upload a new video, and I try to upload as consistently as possible, you will be notified directly of the upload, and you can watch it as soon as it goes live. I would really appreciate if you guys hit that button so you can stay up to date with all of the content I'm posting. But as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.